Hello, scientists. Here's the read aloud for the Wormeater lab. Worm eaters and their funny beaks. Background. Imagine you are a strange species of bird called a worm eater. You live on a remote island with your peers, and all you eat are big, fat, juicy worms that you pick up with your beak. As in any population, you and your worm eater friends don't look exactly the same. There are slight variations in beak shape. Here are some of the beak variations found in the population. Beak name, forky. Beak shape, a fork. Beak name, fortunus. Beak shape, fork missing 3 prongs. Beak name, spoony. Beak shape, spoon. Beak name, sporky. Beak shape, spork. Beak name, sporticus. Beak shape, spork missing 2 prongs. Materials: beaks, fork, forky, sporky, spoony, sporticus, and fortunus. 5 cups, rubber bands, which are worms, and tape. Procedure that you will see in the video. Each table represents an island with 5 worm eaters. Each worm eater needs 1 beak and a cup. All 5 worm eaters have different beak shapes. Step 2. Spread out around the lab station. Step 3. Tape the cup to the table in front of you. Step 4. Place rubber bands in a pile in the center of the table. This is all the food available for the worm eaters. Step 5. When the teacher says, "Go," with your beak, you will grab as many worms as possible and put them inside your cup. You will have 30 seconds. A. You may catch only 1 worm at a time. B. You must play with only 1 hand. The other should be behind your back. C. You may not poke or hit anyone's flesh with your beak. D. You cannot change beak shape after you've started. Step 6. When your teacher says stop, stop picking up worms and count the worms you have in your cup. Record the number in your data table 1. Step 7. The worm eater with the least worms caught is not able to support him or herself and will die. The worm eater with the most worms will be able to reproduce and add another of its kind, meaning the same beak shape, to the next generation. Settle all ties with rock, paper, scissors. Step 8. Put all the worms back in the middle and repeat steps 4 to 6 4 more times for a total of 5 generations. Data. Write down your beak shape and record the number of worms you caught. If you survive throughout all the generations, you will keep the same beak. If you die, you will turn into the offspring of the worm eater that caught the most worms and inherit its beak shape. Record the beak shape you are reborn with and the number of worms caught in the appropriate row. Data table. You can see when you watch the video that the starting beak for the 5 players, which are case science teachers, we have 1 forky, 1 fortunus, 1 sporky, 1 sporticus, and 1 spoony. You will be counting, per your procedure, how many worms each of them caught. Then whatever one has the least amount of worms dies and gets replaced by whatever one has the most amount of worms. So that means here in round 2, you're going to have 2 of 1 beak type. And you're going to have a total of 4 different beak types because one of them will have died out or gone extinct. And you'll be doing that for 5 rounds, and you'll be counting the number of words. Then your analysis questions. Number 1, what did the fork, spork, spoon, modified spork, and modified fork represent? Number 2, if you were a worm eater and could choose your beak, which beak would you choose and why? Number 3, which beak would be your last choice? Why? Number 4, what do you predict would eventually happen to the individuals with a particular variant or variety of beak if they were consistently less successful than others in obtaining the worms? Number 5, what are the determining factors for survival that allow worm eaters to get more worms? Explain why. Number 6, describe how this activity relates to our class model about changes in populations over time. Specifically identify how the ideas of our model connect to what we see in worm eaters. And here's our class model. change is due to a change in environment or weather, a change in resources such as food source or water, the better trait survived, which might not necessarily be the strongest. There might be population changes, birth rate and death rate will be changing, and those that survive pass their traits on to their babies. Step question 7. Answer the question using a CER. Guiding question. How does beak shape affect the bird's ability to survive? Claim one sentence answer to the question with no because or any other explanatory term. Evidence. Use datas and numbers here. You should have quantitative data, ladies and gentlemen. Reasoning. 4 sentences. Sentence 1, restate the claim, add evidence, explain, and conclude. Therefore, or in conclusion, etc. Good luck with your lab, and I will talk to you soon.